Yo, people, it's Wednesday night. It's fucking 9 p.m. and we're on our TSL Online call. We're burning some shit. And we're talking about something that's very important here. And it's about when you deliver too good of a dick. In fact, I just released a podcast about that yesterday. You should check it out on the iTunes feed or on the Stitcher feed or on the YouTube feed. But it's a real thing, right? And the real emphasis of this is that if you're a man, your job as a man, your fucking job, one of the most proud things that you can be of is to deal with women when they get out of control. And see, so many men are afraid of that. And fuck, that pisses me off. I am so sick of hearing the message on how fucked up women are without the honor of being a man, because women are fucked up because you're a badass motherfucker. That's why. That's why they're coming at you with all this shit. Before we dive into this, I want you to listen to our podcast. There's the Daily Awesome. There's the TSL Online podcast, which is this one. And man, you can find it on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and there's a whole bunch of other things that you can get involved with. So don't be a fucking slacker. Join the Austin Men's Development Group. It's free. If you want to join a paid group where these calls are on, where you can hear these badass motherfuckers talking about fucking chicks all night so that they worship them and so that they lock them down and buy them plane tickets and whatever. And that's what the situation is, because his dick's too goddamn good. It's a compliment, man. It's a compliment. It's a good thing. If you want to join those things, you can find out on the free stuff link down below. Also, you can sign up to get whatever our quick guides are. Those quick guides are badass, man. They'll fucking change your life and they'll help your world. And if you're fucking up on them because they work, it's not just stupid material. You can post about it on the Austin Men's Development Board and get free advice on it that will most likely help you. But if you want advice that's going to kick ass, MD Excellence Board, you can even sign up on the starter package, but I recommend the MD Excellence, if not TSL Online. Back to this subject. Your job as a man is to deal with bitches. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. We hear all this fear, this repression and this not wanting to deal with like man problems. We hear all this like fear of what women can do, and women can ruin your life and they can take your money and fuck your shit up and blah, 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 blah. And they're maniacal and they're evil and hypergamy and whatever the fuck it is. And there's so much of that wrapped around it. And I get it. You know, that was all awareness so that men wouldn't harm themselves. The problem is it built up an audience of people that are worse than the pickup industry, that are just like these nerdy fucking guys who don't have relationships with women, or if they do, it's in this like Asperger's sort of way. And it sucks. It's a bad, bad culture. It's not normal. There's nothing free. There's none of the benefits of sex or being a man in that culture. It's all control, man. It's all definitions and all this sort of shit. Look, man, you know, as we had on this call, this guy's talking about having sex with this girl, and he laid it down, man. He laid it down. And this girl is worshiping, and she flies out to see him. She flies him out to see her, and he's fucking her so good. And he's fucking a couple other girls. And it's like, man, this is crazy. And, you know, we're talking a little bit about that. And we're just like, hey, man, you got to beware. This girl, you know, you're 3 weeks in or whatever, and your dick is too good to her. She's going to flip out on you. She's going to start saying like, well, have you been with anybody else, or, you know, what is this? What are we doing? Or I just want to know, I just need a definition. I just, you know, blah, 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 blah. And this girl's really together. And so he's saying, no, man, I told her that, you know, basically all the stuff that we're supposed to do as men. We're supposed to be straight up and honest. Right. And we say, look, you know, I'm you know, this isn't a relationship. I don't know what this is. I don't know what I can give to you, blah, 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 blah. And that all makes sense. But see what happens, something different happens when your dick touches her pussy. First off, your brain starts to do shit which your logical brain is like very far removed from, which can be all over the map. And see, this is part of your total expression, which is very cool. It's your total expression. It's you, man. It's all of you. So you got to get to know it. That's your sexual mind. And so she, when your dick touches her pussy, her mind starts to do all this other stuff. And see, she could sit down and talk to you 2 days later, 10 days later, 2 weeks later and say, man, you know, we're getting carried away, you know, blah, 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 like logic. This makes sense. I talked to my friend. I read an article in Cosmo, all this sort of stuff. But it comes down to where she starts to get a little bit crazy, and she starts to get a little bit jealous, and she starts to want to get territorial. And this is just the essence of women. This is the beauty of them. This is the fucking beauty. This is what you want. This means you're doing a good job, right? And it's going to come at you, and they might come at you with some crazy shit. They might slash your tires. That's not good. They might talk shit on you. They might try and like throw you under the bus. There's all these things which aren't good, but the way you minimize that is you are the man that can handle it. You're not the man that controls her. You're not the man that dominates her. You're not the man that whatever. It's that you're the man that is able to walk through that. You're able to communicate to it. You're able to let her blow up. You're able to let her be calmed down. You're able to be that rock in her life. And there's a lot of different interpretations of this because, like, man, I just wish anybody that's a part of the Red Pill Society, get a relationship with somebody. You know, have a real relationship, not one where you like have to control her or whatever, and fuck a lot of chicks. And then like, you know, have a discussion. Like, please just do that first. Just be a real fucking human being that does something rather than like live in this weird conceptual world because you're, I don't know, angry about a lot of shit. So the thing is when that happens, is let's say, I mean, man, my chick's mad at me. This happens all the time. My chick's mad at me. Sometimes I say, hey, I'm sorry. Or sometimes I say like, hey, man, I don't want to talk about it. Or even like right now, I was like, man, I just, whatever. And she kind of did that to me. She blew me off. You know, we blew each other off because we can't talk right now because I'm in a rush to do this call. She's in a rush to do whatever. And it's just stupid. And it cools down. It comes back to normal. It's not that big of a deal. We throw stuff at each other, but I have faith that she's a woman that can handle it. Right. And see, so many men get shit thrown at them. They get shit thrown at them by women and they act dramatic back. And we all do because we haven't experienced it yet. And that's why we have a men's group. And that's why we talk. And that's why you listening to this podcast, you need to be a part of this men's group or be a part of a men's group that helps you out. This is a fucking badass one. But when you're around other men that have experienced this, they can tell you, man, don't overreact. Chill out. Like, man, it's all going to be okay. Like, she's going to do this, this, and that. And then this is going to happen and blah, 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 blah. And don't buy into it. And see, I see so many men buying into the drama. And what I mean by that is, let's say a girl says like, well, fuck you. What is this? Tell me what this is. I want to know. You can't just use me. So you're just using me as an object. And you're like, well, I thought we had this discussion that we weren't attached. You're like, man, fuck you. You're like everybody else, blah, 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 blah. And then the man says, you know what? Fuck you back. Fuck you. And then he gets dramatic back. He buys into that drama. Guess what happens when you buy into drama? It doesn't end. It never ends. It continues. It becomes its own thing. Just like how man is one thing, woman is another thing. You come together and you make your own thing and it's beautiful and you have a family and you have a baby or you fall in love or you build up all this chemistry. When she comes at you with drama, you come at her with drama, it turns into its own thing and it doesn't end. And it builds off each other and it feeds off of one another and it feeds off of the most reactive shit within you. And all of a sudden you're having a relationship with that. And we as men need to learn that when bitches come at us with drama, and dudes come at women with drama too, all the time, man. But when women come to us with drama, right? And they come with us, they come to us with that drama, man, we can't buy into it. I think one of the best things you can do is walk away, let it cool. You know, and you know what the problem with that is? Here's the other thing that happens. This is why you got to talk to men who've been there. I mean, fuck, man, I'm so sick of, god damn it, man. There's so much like lack of credibility in everybody in this goddamn industry. There's such fucking bitches, man. But one of the things that happens when you actually when you dismiss it or whatever you want to say, you just say like, hey, yeah, now you're coming at me with all this shit. Like, well, what are we? What is this? It's like, hey, look, I told you we're not anything. Well, then, you know, you're just using me or da-da-da-da. Just cut it off. Just stop it. Guess what happens though? She comes back. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, she came back. I'm a man with a king dick. She came back to me. She submitted to me. No, you are now a man that has more responsibility because you just built a definition around her. And if you're unwilling to continue that definition around her, then it's going to get more out of control. So you have to learn to just the way of women and the way of men and how it happens. There's times where she's going to do that to you and it's not a power struggle. It's not a fucking like, you know, crazy elaborate game with all these weird man-made structures. It's a game where the boundaries are set by nature and men and women. And man, like the best thing that you can do for yourself is go out and get laid and fuck good and have good sex. And this is an excellent channel to learn about how to have good sex and to deliver a woman the best sexual experiences of her life. The consequence of that, and it's not necessarily it's not a bad consequence, it's the result of being a badass dude, is that you get women coming at you with all these things that guys have complained about for eons, right? And women have complained about too. And the honor comes is when you embrace that and you don't complain about it. And you go, fuck, man. Like, geez, and you might get pissed off. You might bullshit to your buddies, but you know you want to sit in that man's chair. See, I see so many people wanting to give up their masculinity for masculinity. You know, like, man, I don't want to deal with these women, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to put these boundaries around them. I'm going to put this, fucking archetype around them. I'm going to treat them in this way. I'm going to objectify them. All because being a man is too fucking hard. But I still want to feel like a man. No, man. It's much more simple than all this shit. Be social. Be nice to everybody. Fuck good. Know how to state intent. Know how to get there. Know how to get sexual. It's really easy. It might be difficult at first, but it's really easy once you get there. You're 10 lays away from that. And when you start fucking good, you're going to start to have these problems that fucking make you a man. I was talking to another guy earlier in the day, and we were just talking about a bunch of shit, and it was just like, man, kids are awesome. Family's awesome. Like, responsibility is awesome. This shit is fucking badass. I used to complain about that stuff all the time. Like, having to make money, having to show up, having to suppress my feelings or my emotions and suit up and show up to work or whatever it is. Man, that's badass, especially when you're doing it for something. But I had to go through all that confusing shit to get there. Whereas I think so many people want to live this life that's absent of hard work, but all the status. You just can't get there with it. You need the experience to show you. So, badass men, fuck man, live your badass lives with your badass dick, get some badass women, you'll have some badass problems, and it's going to fucking make you even more of a badass. In any case, if you like this Daily Awesome podcast, subscribe to it. It's different from this one. It's also on iTunes and Stitcher. This is the TSL podcast, and you can leave comments or reviews and all that sort of stuff that helps the podcast get up in the rankings. And also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go join Austin Men's Development. Don't be a lazy fuck and start to fucking work on your goddamn life, because it's not that you have a problem and that your life is fucked up. It's that why not be around men that are in the pursuit of excellence? So do that now. Click the free stuff link down below, and we will talk to you tomorrow.